These are some corrugated plastic projects for home distillers. If you're not into distilling, there are still a few ideas here you may be able to use. And I hope this video will inspire you to come up with creative solutions for problems in your own lives. Making cuts is the process of choosing the alcohol that tastes good and discarding the rest. The beginning and end of a distilling run produces alcohol that doesn't taste good. Home distillers often collect the alcohol in small jars so that they can taste it and make decisions later about what to keep. Jars are numbered so that we always know the point in the process that each jar came from. Moving all those jars around and dealing with all the lids is something that I no longer have to do as a result of this invention. This is a decent plan. Proportions are off. 13 centimeters is drawn the same as 31 centimeters. It has measurements that accommodate the thickness of the plastic, although the drawing only really shows that on the lid. Here's what it looks like before it's assembled. Evaporation can get rid of bad flavors, so it's common to leave jars open for a day or two, with a paper towel or coffee filter over top of each jar to keep out bugs and dust and the like. And I don't do that anymore either. This box has a window in the top that is covered with a paper towel. It's taped into place and easy to replace if needed. My jars live in the box, never sealed, but always safe from dust and bugs. Instead of many individual jars, I now carry one box to and from my still. Instead of opening and closing many individual jars, I now just open and close the box. I used an outside fold on the hinge so that the lid swings in both directions. I demonstrate the outside fold in this video. Today I'm showing you some of my first projects since first evaluating the CorruClaw. I really underestimated this tool before. It's true that it doesn't help you cut across the flutes, but it makes cuts along the flutes so much easier as to be a real game changer. It makes outside folds trivial as well. I flared the lid a bit so that it will always close easily. It's wider at the bottom than at the top by a full centimeter. I used the same approach on this box. The flared lid makes closing easy, but the depth of this lid means that it's very snug when fully closed. This is a good general purpose box, which is very helpful for keeping all of my distilling tools and supplies organized. It uses a full 90 by 120 centimeter sheet of plastic. I trimmed a bit off the lid of the first one I built. On the others, I didn't bother. I also didn't bother with some of the flaps hanging a bit loose, but if I were bothered, a few extra zip ties would tidy things up. The first of these boxes I built was a success, so I guess this drawing was enough. But obviously, this isn't even complete, so I had to improvise a bit. This shows better how the box is actually built. I store my still between runs. Like all cardboard boxes used for such purposes, mine were getting worn out. They also advertise what's inside. I rent, and that means people coming for inspections and repairs and the like. Distilling alcohol is legal where I live, but it just can't help me for my landlord to know that I run a still. It's something they just don't need to know. As a wise man once said, it's neat to be discreet. These boxes replace the product's cardboard boxes beautifully. They're discreet, and they'll last much longer. This one gives the column all the protection that the original box did, and more. This closure doesn't hold the lid completely closed, and it kind of takes two hands to close it, but it serves the purpose. This isn't the best drawing either, but again, it got the job done. These sort of serve as notes that I can refer to while I'm building. They definitely don't make plans that I would expect someone else to be able to follow. This lid is a bit loose because I hadn't figured out to flare the lid when I built this box, and I didn't want it to be too tight. Again, it works, but if I were moving, for example, I'd use a bungee cord to hold the lid securely in place. In a previous video, I made a carrier for 6 liquor bottles. Again, It's neat to be discreet. I don't often need to haul 6 bottles, so I made some carriers for single bottles. As with all of my boxes now, my plans accommodate the thickness of the corrugated plastic in a way that makes everything much neater. This is what the box looks like before I add the zip ties. I was able to make 3 of these from 1 sheet of corrugated plastic. They're all usable, but the 3rd box is the one that I really got right. I found that drilling holes in the corners of windows that I cut into the corrugated plastic helps to keep from cutting too far, and overall makes everything neater. I leave 1 layer of plastic to make my handles more comfortable. Removing a single layer is another thing that's made much easier by using the CorroClaw. These boxes open and close really well. The tolerances are kind of tight, and using pieces of corrugated plastic to get the spacing right really helped. This looked like something that I could improve on. The alcohol leaves this still through a tube made of some sort of plastic. The stiffness of this plastic tube varies with the temperature, so it tends to move around a little bit. I found it helpful to hold it in place. This device is a lot easier to set up and remove than the rubber bands and paper roll, and it does the job just as well. Thanks for watching. Thanks for liking and subscribing, and thanks for commenting. Be sure to click the bell so that you're notified of my next video.